So at this point, you've learned about what blocks are, what hashing is, and how blocks form a chain together based on those hashes. So one thing we could do to make this a bit more clear is to use this website, which is a very popular blockchain demo website, which is andersbrownworth.com. When you first arrive here, you can see a few different demo videos if you want to get a deeper dive into this tool. But what we're going to be using it for is to see basically the things that we just learned about in practice in this virtual environment, right? So here we can click block and we're presented with the general format of what a block would look like, right? So a block would have a number, it would have a nonce, which is sort of another identifier, which we'll get into a little bit later. Any data that that block is containing. Typically, this will be all the transactions that are stored in the block. And then that hash that we learned about earlier, right? And that's generated by the data. So if we put in Bob, that generates this hash. And then interestingly enough, if we make this a lowercase b, so see this is starting with CBB, we make that lowercase. All of a sudden it completely changed. Right now it's 893. But if we make that a capital again, we get that original hash back. And that's one of the powerful things about the hash. As long as you provide the same input, the same data, it'll always return the same hash value. And this is important because this is how we're able to identify and verify that block data can be trusted, right? Because if anything here is changed, this hash value changes, and we're able to detect that right away. So to put that into perspective, here we have a simulation of a blockchain. So every block has a previous hash as well as its current hash, right? So since block 1 is the very first block of the chain, this has a very special name, which is the genesis block. So since there is no block that comes before this, its previous hash is just nothing but zeros. So what we can do here, we'll just bring out our friend Bob again, and we'll click mine. Now, when we mine, this takes it and puts it onto the blockchain, okay? So now our data of Bob generated this hash, right? So it starts with 4 zeros. And here in the next block, we can see that it's storing a previous hash with those same 4 zeros, right? It's the same hash. So now one thing that's interesting to note is if we type in Bob here, you might think, well, that should provide the same hash, right? Well, it's a little different because here it's not only hashing on the data, but it's also hashing on some of these other parameters here, like the nonce, right? And that's why we're able to make this a little more unique and distinctive. Even though it has the same data, it's a different block, right? And so these other characteristics are going to generate this unique hash. But we'll just put a different name in here. Maybe we'll put James, and we'll go ahead and mine that. And then we'll do one more block after this. We'll put a pretty amazing name here, since it's our last one, like Chris. And we'll go ahead and mine that. And so now we have this chain, right? We got these 3 blocks that are chained together with these 3 unique hashes. So now what happens if we change the data in one of these blocks, right? We're a nefarious actor. We want to hack the blockchain. We want to do some damage, all right? Say we don't like James. For whatever reason, we don't like him. We want to make James Todd. So we go in here, we put Todd, and because this hash has changed, these blocks are now red. which indicates that there's an error, that this block is no longer valid. Its data is erroneous or some kind of false information that's been passed in here and is being disregarded by the blockchain. But the valid blocks before this remain. Now, in a real world example, essentially what would happen is these blocks would be disregarded, and then we would communicate with one of our other nodes to get the proper information of what these blocks should be. And then when we get that information and we return this back to James, this chain is restored. So with that, I hope that provides you with a nice visualization of these concepts. And if you have any questions, of course, as always, reach out to us on Discord. So congratulations on making it to the end of this lesson.